My fellow Americans, I come to you tonight with a very heavy heart, a very heavy heart. What has happened to our country is terrible, absolutely terrible. Nobody has ever seen anything quite like it. Over the past several weeks, our intelligence agencies, our investigators, our military, some very talented people, really incredible people, have uncovered something beyond belief. Foreign nationals funded by Chicom interests embedded themselves in every pet food company in the United States. Everyone, think about that. They got into the companies, they got into the plants, they got into processing, manufacturing, packaging, shipping, warehouses, distribution, every step of the production pipeline. They were everywhere. And they did it for one reason: to hurt us. These agents of evil poisoned our pets' food supply deliberately. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew Americans love their pets. We love them. They're part of the family. For millions and millions of Americans, they're not just animals. They're with our children. They're in our homes. They're waiting for us when we come through the door. These people knew that. That's why they chose them. This new virus, our doctors, scientists, and military specialists are calling it super rabies, was designed to strike at our hearts. That's what this was about, our hearts. They wanted to take something innocent, something we love, and turn it against us. And super rabies is unlike anything we've ever dealt with before. An infected pet can show no symptoms for weeks. Weeks. It can look perfectly normal, healthy, friendly. Nothing appears wrong. And then it attacks without warning. And once one of these infected animals attacks its owner, we have another problem, a very serious problem: the human infection. People infected with super rabies become extremely violent. Witnesses have described them as almost zombie-like. These are people who become so sick, so completely overtaken by this disease, that they attack their own loved ones, their families, their neighbors, their coworkers, people they've known their entire lives. And because of that danger, I have authorized the United States military, the National Guard, state police, and authorized peacekeeping forces to commence with the culling and removal of all household pets. All household pets. I know how difficult that is to hear. Believe me, I know. Nobody wanted this. Nobody, but we cannot tell which animals are safe. They show no symptoms for weeks, and by the time you know, it can already be too late. So these operations are going forward. Do not resist. Do not resist. This is for your own safety. It is for your family's safety. It is for your community. When the military arrives, when the National Guard arrives, when law enforcement arrives, you follow their instructions immediately. Do not approach the infected under any circumstances. Don't touch them. Don't try to help them. Don't try to restrain them. Don't think that because you know them, because you love them, because they were your friend or your neighbor or your husband or your wife, that they cannot hurt you. They can, and they will. And do not approach military personnel or law enforcement while they are performing their duties. Give them space. Let them do their jobs. They're doing a tremendous job under unbelievably difficult circumstances. During this unprecedented event, all citizens are required to remain in their homes until the all clear is given by the proper authorities. Stay home. Stay off the streets. Keep the roads clear. Our military needs them. Our ambulances need them. Our doctors need them. Our repair crews need them. Our food and water convoys need them. You stay inside until you're told it is safe. And we're also asking every American to be vigilant, very vigilant. We've established hotlines. We've established official government social media outlets. Use them. If you have a neighbor, a friend, a loved one, anybody you believe is harboring a pet, call it in. I don't care if they tell you the animal is healthy. You cannot know. Nobody can know just by looking. Remember, infected pets can show no symptoms for weeks. If you suspect something, say something. It's very simple. If you suspect something, say something. That phone call may save a life. It may save 10 lives. It may save an entire neighborhood. 2 weeks ago, when the super rabies outbreak began, our nation was in shambles, absolute shambles. Hospitals overwhelmed, emergency rooms filled, cities shut down, families separated, people afraid to leave their homes. Nobody knew what was happening. But look at what we've done in only 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Already, some of the finest doctors and scientists anywhere in the world are developing treatment for the infected. And they're developing vaccines to make sure this never happens again. Never again. They're working night and day. Military laboratories, universities, hospitals, pharmaceutical facilities, government agencies, everybody working together, and they're making incredible progress. But we need time. So I'm asking the American people tonight for 3 things: patience, trust, and obedience. We need your patience while our doctors find the treatment. We need your trust while our authorities restore order. And we need your obedience while we take the measures necessary to protect this country. And together, we the people, we are going to come back. We are going to come back stronger than anybody thought possible. We will rebuild our neighborhoods. We will reopen our cities. We will restore our country. We will take care of our wounded. We will honor our dead. And the world will remember exactly who we are. But what we've learned is that these agents of evil didn't only strike at our hearts. No, they struck at our eyes. And they struck at our stomachs. While they were poisoning the pet food supply, they were attacking our infrastructure relentlessly, our water systems, our electrical grid, our communications, everything Americans depend on. They wanted the lights off. They wanted the water stopped. They wanted empty shelves. They wanted hospitals without electricity. They wanted darkness. They wanted hunger. They wanted fear. And most of all, they wanted Americans fighting Americans. That's what they wanted. They're not going to get it. We're not going to give it to them. But restoring this country will require sacrifice. Nationwide curfew notices are in effect. Mandatory screening schedules will be issued across the country. When you're told to report for screening, you report. It's mandatory. You should also expect rolling brownouts while we repair the power grid. There will be disruptions. There will be temporary shortages, food scarcity, water scarcity. Some of it may be severe. We're bringing infrastructure back from the brink. Hospitals will receive priority. Emergency facilities will receive priority. Military installations and communities in immediate danger will receive priority. Do not hoard. Do not interfere with distribution. Do not attack workers trying to restore your electricity, your water, and your food supply. We're going to fix it. We're going to rebuild it. And we're going to find the people responsible, every one of them. And now we're hearing excuses. You've heard them. I've heard them. They blame AI. They say it was artificial intelligence. They say there was a glitch. A glitch. Can you believe it? They tell you a computer made a mistake. They tell you an algorithm malfunctioned. They tell you nobody was responsible. My fellow Americans, these are lies. They're lies. And they're tools of deception. AI didn't infiltrate our pet food companies. A glitch didn't poison our animals. An algorithm didn't coordinate attacks on our water systems. A computer didn't decide to attack American families. People did this. Enemies did this. And they thought they could get away with it. They thought America was weak. They thought America was divided. They thought we were distracted. They thought we'd panic. They thought we'd turn against each other. They were wrong. Very, very wrong. Because America always comes back. Always. And when we come back, and we will come back, the world is going to see something it has not seen in a very long time. They're going to see what happens when you push the American people too far. They're going to see what happens when our grief becomes determination, when fear becomes strength, when suffering becomes resolve. They thought they were attacking a country that would simply roll over. They made a terrible mistake because they didn't destroy the American spirit. They woke it up, and when this is over, the entire world will see the sleeping giant they have awakened. May God protect our families. May God protect the brave men and women serving on the front lines, and may God bless the United States of America. Now I turn the mic over to a face you all probably remember. He's been in the White House before. Our newly appointed Emergency General of AI Warfare, Mr. Elon Musk. General Musk.
Thank you, President Trump. Good evening. So, I guess the first thing to say is that the situation is extremely bad. What happened was not really a conventional attack. It was more like someone looked at the United States as a very large interconnected machine and tried to induce cascading failure across multiple systems at once. Pet food, power, water, communications, logistics, financial infrastructure, basically civilization. And the thing about complex systems is you don't have to destroy the whole thing. You identify a few places where relatively small failures create much larger failures downstream. So they did that very deliberately. Pet food contamination creates panic. Panic creates hoarding. Hoarding stresses logistics. Power failures degrade communications. Communications failures slow emergency response. Then emergency response starts failing, which creates more panic. You get a feedback loop, which is bad, very bad. The president has authorized the creation of a unified artificial intelligence warfare command. It's a strange title, I didn't pick it, but that's where we are. The basic problem is latency. Governments are slow, militaries are faster, but compared to software, they're still incredibly slow. A human analyst receives information, they review it, there's a meeting, lawyers look at it, eventually somebody makes a decision. Meanwhile, a machine can evaluate millions of data points and update its model before the meeting starts. So if the adversary is operating at machine speed and you're operating at committee speed, you lose. Pretty simple. We're not doing that anymore. Systems that were previously separated are now being integrated into a common intelligence architecture. Reconnaissance, satellite data, financial transactions, shipping records, network traffic, energy consumption, communications metadata, logistics, autonomous platforms. Most individual pieces of information are meaningless. One unusual bank transfer means nothing. One encrypted connection means nothing. One building suddenly consuming twice as much electricity means nothing. But combine billions of weak signals continuously and the picture changes. Humans aren't great at that. Machines are. So the system is building what is essentially a graph. People, companies, facilities, communications, money, supply chains, transportation, energy, relationships. Once you understand the graph, you understand dependencies. And everybody depends on something. Money, electricity, transportation, communications, other people. You can hide your face. You cannot hide all of your dependencies. Not indefinitely. The second issue is autonomous weapon systems. I'm obviously not going to describe specific capabilities. That would be stupid. But systems previously considered experimental are being moved into active service. Autonomous aircraft, uncrewed naval systems, long-duration reconnaissance platforms, robotic logistics, machine-assisted targeting, electronic warfare. Machines don't get tired, they don't get scared, they don't get bored, they don't need sleep, and their reaction time is substantially faster than the human nervous system. Most military command structures were built around the assumption that a human being is the fastest meaningful decision maker. That assumption is becoming obsolete. There are systems now that can detect something, classify it, compare it against historical data, predict possible outcomes, and generate a response before a human being has fully understood that the event occurred. People are uncomfortable with that. I am uncomfortable with that. You should be uncomfortable with that. But being uncomfortable doesn't make the technology disappear. That's not how physics works, that's not how software works, and it's definitely not how war works. Our adversaries already crossed that line. They used automated systems and then said the machines were responsible. They said it was AI. They said it was a glitch. That's obviously nonsense. Machines don't spontaneously acquire geopolitical objectives. Someone sets the objective. Someone provides access. Someone deploys the system. If you build a machine, deploy it, authorize it, or knowingly benefit from what it does, you're responsible. Pretty straightforward. Now, retaliation. People keep asking when retaliation starts. That's probably the wrong way to think about it. Retaliation doesn't necessarily mean something explodes immediately. Sometimes that's actually the least intelligent option. If you act too early, you lose information. Sometimes you want to watch who calls whom, who moves money, who relocates equipment, who suddenly stops communicating, who gets nervous. People behave differently when they're scared. Machines are very good at detecting changes in behavior. So sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing, or appear to do nothing. The system keeps watching. It updates probabilities. The model gets better. Eventually, people reveal connections they spent years trying to hide. Machines are incredibly patient. 6 minutes, 6 months, 6 years. It's all just time series data. So silence should not be interpreted as inactivity. It may simply mean the confidence level isn't high enough yet. And then at some point it is. The next concept is strategic isolation. We're not only looking at the people who directly conducted the attack, we're looking at the structure that made it possible: banks, companies, military organizations, intelligence services, technology providers, logistics networks, political institutions. If an organization knowingly helped enable the operation, it becomes part of the hostile architecture. The machine doesn't care what label's on the building. It cares about function, not what can we destroy. That's easy. The better question is, what has to stop functioning for the adversary to lose the ability to do this again? One is emotional. The other is engineering. Revenge is not particularly useful. Deterrence is useful. You want the expected cost of repeating the attack to become so high that nobody rational would attempt it. You change the equation. That's the goal. There are also questions about control. What happens when machines make decisions faster than humans can supervise them? What happens when autonomous systems begin reacting to other autonomous systems? That's where things get weird. Nobody actually knows where that ends. Anyone claiming they know is either confused or trying to sell you something. But the traditional decision cycle is too slow. So beginning tonight, portions of the national defense architecture will operate under emergency machine speed protocols. Things that previously took hours may take minutes. Things that took minutes may take seconds. And some defensive actions may occur before a human operator has reviewed every individual step. But if a incoming system can act in milliseconds and your authorization process takes 15 minutes, then effectively you don't have a defense. You have paperwork, so we're fixing that. And finally, to whoever planned this attack, you made an interesting assumption. You assumed that if artificial intelligence became associated with something sufficiently horrifying, the United States would become afraid of the technology. We would slow down, regulate ourselves, create committees, hold hearings, argue about ethics while you continue developing. That was probably the biggest mistake, because the result was basically the opposite. You forced acceleration. Barriers between systems that existed for decades disappeared in days. You wanted us afraid of AI. Instead, you created the strongest argument anyone has ever made for accelerating it. So that didn't work. Right now, our systems are studying you, your communications, your infrastructure, your companies, your financial networks, your suppliers, your travel, your personnel, your routines, your dependencies, your fallback plans, and your mistakes, especially the mistakes, because humans always make mistakes. Someone gets nervous, someone calls the wrong person, someone transfers money, someone moves equipment, someone leaves a facility at an unusual time. There's always somebody, and the interesting thing about a network is that you don't need everybody to make a mistake. You need one node. One node changes behavior. The graph updates. New relationships become visible. Then another node becomes visible. And eventually the network maps itself. The old wars were obvious. Sirens, bombers, missiles, ships, troops crossing borders. You knew when the war started. This is different. It could start with a database changing. A satellite receives a new task. A network route changes. An autonomous aircraft turns 5 degrees. A financial account becomes inaccessible. A server stops responding. Nothing dramatic. And then somewhere, somebody realizes the system they spent 10 years building no longer works. There may not be announcements. Actually, there probably shouldn't be. Some actions will be visible, some won't. Some things may look completely unrelated. They may not be unrelated. And we're not necessarily going to explain which is which. The people who did this wanted Americans to feel uncertainty. Is the water safe? Will the lights stay on? Is the food contaminated? Is the animal in your house infected? They understood uncertainty as a weapon. That's clever. The unfortunate thing is that uncertainty works both ways. So now they get to wonder, which network is compromised? Which communication was intercepted? Which facility is being watched? Which ally has already provided information? Which autonomous system is nearby? Which one is overhead? Which one is underwater? Which one isn't visible? And the question they'll keep asking is, when does the retaliation begin? It already did.